Welcome back to the 990 podcast.
All right, everybody, welcome to the 990 podcast. I am Jay.
Hey, I'm Ray.
And happy 2024, everyone.
2024.
Happy New Year, my friend.
Happy New Year. Happy New Year.
How was your New Year spent?
New Year was spent with Zozo at home.
Okay. Yep.
Because the wifey was out working.
Gotcha.
Thanks for keeping us afloat, baby girl.
How was that area?
That area was... We're in Waipio.
Okay.
You know, we actually never looked.
No, it didn't get too loud?
Oh, that's what you meant.
Yeah.
Nah, it was pretty chill.
Really?
Well, you know what,
Mililani
bro?
was like war zone, bro.
Oh, for real?
It was nuts. Like, it was crazy.
I wouldn't
out
think
here.
Milani is the kind.
No, man, it was pretty heavy. Like a lot heavier than last year, for sure.
You know why? Like versus last year?
No, I have no idea.
Huh, that's funny. Couple weeks before or during December, we have like industrial buildings behind us.
Okay.
You can hear people testing out the stuff. It was kind of annoying, but you know, you gotta do what
You
gotta do.
you see all those time lapse videos?
Yeah, there's a ton of them.
Only
A
in
ton of 'em.
Hawaii, dude.
You know what? I feel like it's gonna be a tourist thing.
Possibly.
And
Possibly.
I think instead of ticketing people on the freeway, I mean, yeah, you got to be safe though.
Yeah.
But I was thinking, why don't the government just give them or charge for training for a permit every year,
yeah.
and then just have them pop fireworks?
Possibly. I don't know. Yeah. I mean, it's one of those things, right? So it's obviously not legal, but
Yeah.
it's just become just this unspoken tradition, right? Where it's just a given, like people are going to be doing it. And I saw this news clip that was super funny. So I think this is from a couple of years ago, but it was a newscast in Arizona, and they were talking about the problems that they were having with illegal fireworks in Arizona.
Okay.
And then they showed, what
Yeah,
they
yeah.
believe to be heavy firework activity. Right. And then, of course, somebody in Hawaii had to cut to and then show what New Year's looks like over here. And it looked like Baghdad. It was crazy. Honestly, it was insane. Yeah.
But you know what? After watching a bunch of clips of the New Year fireworks in Waipau and Kapolei West Side,
Yeah.
I thought about it and I was like, I feel like this is something we have to hold on to just because of the diminishing aspects of what Hawaii is.
Just traditions. Yeah.
Just tradition. And I feel like a lot of, it goes back to the small businesses
Yep.
closing down, and it's like, man, what does Hawaii have left?
Right.
In terms of,
Air
growing up.
quality.
So I'm just like, man, I hope they can keep it up for something.
Yeah,
You know
yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah, okay. So I'm of two minds, right? So obviously, tradition-wise, love it. The sound doesn't bother me. I think what bothers me is watching my dog's reactions. So
Yeah.
obviously, any pet owner knows how that goes every New Year's. So for me, our New Year's was quiet. Tristan built a fort in the closet and kind of hunkered down. And then she had the dogs in the bunker there, but they were pretty good.
Yeah.
Got them on some meds this year. They were kind of stoned out of their brain, and hey man, it might have to do a daily for these guys. But they were cool. Much better than the previous year. And Penny being her first year, she reacted pretty well. I was actually kind of surprised.
Wow.
Yeah.
Give them drugs. No,
Hey man. But going back to the new year, man. What do you think about the phrase "New Year, New Me"?
Sounds old.
I feel like that's kind of an overplayed use of a phrase there, but I do feel like that comes across every year.
yeah.
I mean, what do you think about the idea of taking the new year to hit a reset button and basically either reinvent yourself or start something new?
I don't know, man. I come back to that. For years, I've never had New Year's resolutions.
Okay.
I think for the reason we're talking about now, and it's like I feel like there shouldn't be a I don't know, like a grand thing.
Okay.
Because now you're just trying to motivate yourself to do it out of
Right, like why wouldn't you have done this any other time of the year?
yeah,
like,
or why
use this?
why wait to start something?
Gotcha.
That's just my personal belief.
No, it makes sense.
While it is nice to have a fresh restart, I do see the importance and some value with, wiping the slate clean.
For sure.
And I get there's some type of what do you call there's some value to that.
Yeah.
I can see why people would do it. Yeah, that's kind of my thing.
No, that makes sense.
What
That makes
about
sense.
you?
Well, I'm wearing glasses, so yeah, new year, new me. Nah. Yeah, man. I believe the exact same thing. I think a lot of times we put things off, and we think of these ambiguous times where we're like, okay, I'm gonna wait till Monday and I'm gonna get this started. Versus, why don't I just do this now, right? Whether it's eating differently, starting some type of exercise routine, anything, right?
Yeah.
Why wait? Especially if it's something that's gonna make
Benefit you.
benefit
Yeah.
you, right, or others. So yeah, but we'll see. We'll
We'll
see
see.
how it
Yeah,
goes,
we'll
right? We'll see how it goes. But speaking of 2023, thought today
Yep.
would be a good day to kind of talk about some of our favorite things from the year.
Yes, sir. Yep.
Yeah, man.
I'm excited. Yeah.
Let's start off though. So we always have this segment where we ask Ray what he's been watching, and I thought this would be kind of cool. We can lump movies and TV together if you don't mind. But
Yeah.
I mean, what are some of the things that you watched this year? And let's put a caveat on this because Ray's not always up to current events. I gave him a parameter of like whatever you actually physically watched this year.
Yeah.
We can talk about. But
Not necessarily new for 2023.
Yeah. What's the best things you've watched?
Oh, man. Okay. Best things I've watched. Let's start off with Interstellar.
Okay.
So this has been, man, eye-opening for just cinema. There's I don't want to sound repetitive, but time, the concept of time, just one of my favorite things. And Interstellar was just a really good, movie, man.
It was. I mean, well, obviously, Christopher Nolan is just a master of his craft, right?
Yeah.
I love that it's an original story. Him and his brother write these the screenplays for it.
That's awesome.
It's amazing that he has that level of talent, just screenwriting as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, the construct of time, man. That's kind of his bag.
Yeah. So I don't want to get deep because we're probably gonna do an episode,
Sure.
as we always say.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you how it made me feel.
Okay, please.
One of the biggest scenes or most memorable ones was the portion where he had to leave. And I think now that I'm a dad, everything I watch, it just strings. There's like a string connected to my relationship with Zozo.
Okay.
And it's always coming from that perspective now.
Yeah.
And
You're crying a lot more lately.
Yo,
aren't
it
you?
hits harder. It hits harder. It hits way harder. And all these movies, you know, like growing up or TV shows or whatever scenes there is with a child there, I'm like, yeah, that's heartfelt. But it hits different when you're in a different perspective.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. So
Definitely.
Interstellar, I think it hit a lot of those scenes. Yeah.
Well, okay, so obviously cinematography, but the way they use score, Hans Zimmer did the score on it. The use of the music in that movie really, really tugged on the emotions.
Yeah,
It's a beautiful movie, and I know that one of the movies that you're also a fan of was 2001: Space Odyssey, right?
Yeah.
You saw a lot of the throwbacks in there.
I did, and it was so similar. Even with just like the slight distortion from certain scenes or certain scores,
Right.
I was like, that's a throwback to
Absolutely.
2001
For sure.
But yeah, Interstellar was one of them. You want to go back and forth?
Yeah,
or you
let's
wanna,
do it, man.
Yeah,
For sure.
So Dom, you want to?
Sticking with Nolan, man, you gotta watch Oppenheimer. You gotta watch Oppenheimer. I would say I've been watching a lot of YouTube channels, and everybody's going through their top 10 of the year, and I'd say majority has Oppenheimer as their number one.
Really?
Yeah, a good majority does. It's a phenomenal film. Anybody that saw it, I think, realizes how important it was to see that actually in the theater.
Yeah.
He filmed it on IMAX, and again, without going too much into it, it's a biopic, right? So how interesting can this be when you're talking about just concepts and theories and then application and the after effects? And truthfully, it was very interesting. I thought I was going to get lost in the dialogue. It was a lot of science in there.
Oh, really?
A lot of
Okay.
science. And Nolan is kind of known for his action, and there wasn't a lot of action in this movie.
Interesting.
Yeah, but just character development wise, and kind of just seeing, the thought process that Oppenheimer went through when he was creating, the nuclear atomic bomb here. It's crazy, and it's just a really, really good historical piece. I know they took some liberties with the story there,
Sure,
obviously to make it a little bit more entertaining, a little bit more sensationalized, but it was just a piece of history that I think a lot of people don't know too much about. They only know about the after effects.
Yeah.
But seeing what led up to that, really, really fascinating.
Ooh,
so
that's-
put that on your watch list.
I'll put it on watch list for sure.
Yeah.
Side note, I do like movies. I mean, movies that take long often have really good, I wouldn't say often, but for the ones that I watch, they have good character development because they have the time to do it.
Absolutely.
Going back to character development, Joss put on Lord of the Rings, Fellowship of the Ring.
Okay. Wait, so you guys watched the whole marathon?
No, just the first one.
Okay.
For some reason, she wanted to watch it, and I've watched that before, but
Yeah.
recapping the best of 2023 for me,
Okay.
what I've watched. My gosh, I can't. That it just reminded me of how good that trilogy was.
Okay.
And that first one was.
Okay.
And then we talk about character development. I'm seeing they're just really pulling you into these characters, and just the way that they do it in the micro scenes is just like, oh man, this movie's so good.
Did you read the book by chance?
No.
I say
Have you?
that. No, me either. I always like to ask people that, like I'm better than them. I'm like, did you read the book? No, I didn't either.
Well, when it comes to book, I wonder what the differences with the movie was and the book.
Again, you have proponents that will be like, oh, the movie's just as good the books, and other people believe that you get way more just description within these the written books, but I'm not sure. I'll be honest with you, I like the Lord of the Rings. I never was as big of a fan as everyone else though. And I think mainly because I don't know. I look at like just the different types of genres out there, and when it comes to this like that type of fantasy lore, it was never a huge thing for me. But coincidentally, I'm a big fan of Game of Thrones.
Okay.
And there's the fantasy element in that as well.
Yeah.
But for whatever reason, just never really got into Lord of the Rings. Maybe that's something I got to pick up this year.
Well, I mean, when it comes to Game of Thrones, that one's a little bit.
I almost want to say that it's more political, if that makes sense. There's a
yeah.
lot of going on. There's a lot of backstabbing.
Yeah.
A lot of it has to do with families, and
Right.
everybody has their own agendas.
And it's a series too.
And it's a series as well.
It's
You got it.
totally different.
Yeah.
But yeah, Lord of the Rings. It was super good.
Okay, for sure.
Just rewatching. Yeah.
Yeah.
What you got?
Let's see here. Have you by chance ever watched Succession?
No. I
okay.
think you mentioned it once, but
Yeah. Succession concluded this year, so HBO Max. It's one of those shows where I think the conclusion was a little polarizing. It's kind of divisive as far as some people really loved it, or other people really did not like it at all. Mainly because there wasn't a solid resolution, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's always tough.
It's tough.
Yeah.
I personally, I really enjoyed it. I liked the way that they concluded the series, mainly because it was very true to form of how the series had gone.
Okay.
In a nutshell, it starts off with this media mogul and his 3 children, and he's not in the best of health, and he's looking to basically relinquish control of his empire. And these kids are kind of just have different controlling vests in the company, and it's on top of everything, it's just a family drama.
Okay.
You're talking about billions of dollars here, but
Yeah.
at the heart of it, it's just really, the drama that unfolds within a family that just has a lot of turmoil and trauma in there.
Yeah.
It's interesting, man. I really like the way that it played out. The characters are really rich. They're not very likable people. They don't have a lot of redeemable qualities. But then if you think about actors that can kind of portray that role, that typecast, it's tough. And I think everybody wants to go into it being, the favorite and, the person that everybody loves. But it's tough when you got to play somebody that can be vile, or like somebody that is just layered, where maybe you're hoping that there's some type of redemption arc, but sometimes it doesn't happen, and that's not an easy role to play for anybody. But I feel like these actors really nailed it.
There's another TV series that sounds exactly like that, but it's more on like the studio scene and like music.
Which one is that?
Shoot, it's escaping me, but I'm pretty sure
Empire?
Empire, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
So I'm not sure exactly what the
Similar,
similarities are, but
actually, that's funny. I never drew the parallel. You're right. There are some similarities to that. I mean, I'm biased. Obviously, I watched Succession over Empire, but I think this one goes a little bit even deeper as far as just the layering of like the family dynamics and what it means to be someone's successor.
Hey man, I wouldn't doubt that these guys got their base from Korean dramas, bro.
Possibly, I would not doubt it. What's something else you watched?
There Will Be Blood.
Okay,
That was
All right,
so these are a lot of firsts for me in 2022, guys.
What'd you like about that?
Again, the character development. I mean, you see how it unfolds and how me as a viewer not relates, but just kind of tags along how this guy's what's his name? Daniel Day-Lewis.
Yep.
Just how his character unfolds and his on top of that, because his acting is just superb.
Yes.
It makes it even better.
Yeah.
And so you're just stringed along. You're strung along this whole character development with him, and you just I'm always attracted to the idea of, or the question of what events happen in one person's life that made them the person they are today.
Yeah.
And I love watching movies that show that. Or even just meeting people and wanting to. I just have this pull to ask them, like like how, or not ask, but I'll look at people and I'll observe them and be like, I wonder why that guy's like that. I wonder why this person's like this. There's always this, because I try to understand why, and then I can kind of be more not, I want to say forgiving, but in terms of like seeing who they are, but really understanding who they are and be like, okay, that's why I get it.
Okay.
But There Will Be Blood, along with the cinematography,
Yes.
and just the picture and the feel that it gave. I mean, you got the that scene where the oil tower was burning down. And man, there's just a lot of good things about that movie.
It's an amazing. Well, Paul Thomas Anderson, who directed the film, he's actually known more for dark comedies. So this was actually more of a dramatic turn for him. But from what I've heard, Daniel Day-Lewis, he's a method actor, so he gets into his characters.
Who else are method actors?
There's quite a few. I mean,
not Bane. What's his name?
Batman. Christian Bale.
Yeah, Christian Bale.
Yeah, he's a method actor. Absolutely. And you're right, Tom Hardy as well.
Tom Hardy
as well.
Tom Hardy.
But he gets into his character, and at times, because they do not release that character, even when they're not filming, it can make it can be kind of difficult to be around on set. So Paul Dano, the kid who actually played the preacher, he was a recast, believe it or not. The original actor, I don't know who the original actor was. Okay. Daniel Day-Lewis, he could not handle Daniel Day-Lewis because he was just too intense. And he would not release the character even when they were not shooting, to the point where this guy just could not capture. And it wasn't even that. I think he was just so intimidated by who this person was that the director decided it wasn't a good fit. So they brought in Paul Dano, who did a phenomenal job.
He did solid. Yeah.
And what's crazy is that he's very recently done some things that I've really enjoyed. He just did a movie called Dumb Money that he was really good in. But Paul Dano is actually a really good character actor as well, because he can do comedy, he can do drama. He was in The Batman as Riddler.
Oh, was he?
That's Paul Dano as well. So he's got a good range. But that kid, at the time, he was really young. I mean, to be able to stand up to, just a monologue like that. It's pretty amazing what he was able to do.
Yeah, and those characters are very, they're very just significant in terms of like who they were. And they just really made an example of what they were supposed to do.
Absolutely.
Yeah. What else you got for viewing?
For viewing, let's see. How about something we both watched this year? The Bear.
The Bear.
Season 2.
Yo, I'm so glad you put me on. Wait, it's season 2? Oh, yeah.
Season 2 was this year. What do you think? How do you like the way they left it off?
So again, like, before going into that, I don't watch too much series,
Right.
But that's probably gonna be my top TV show, bro.
Did you binge it or did you?
I binged it.
you binged it?
Which
Yeah.
it's kind of, I don't know. I think it's better when it's, you're watching it as it goes. But I don't know. What do you think about binging? Is that a good way to watch a series, or?
I mean, there's some merit to being able to wait every week, like when it's episodic, and then you kind of process what you saw. But truthfully, like I think because our attention spans are so short, like sometimes you just gotta get that fix. You're like, what happens? I need to know,
Yeah.
and then you're on to the next one. So we've kind of just become accustomed to that with streaming.
Yeah.
That because we're so used to having that available.
Yeah.
We got a little bit spoiled. So I think our viewing patterns have changed significantly. It's not like just syndicated TV, like how Friends used to be on every Thursday or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Now you can watch entire season or entire show in one sitting. And I don't know if that's the most healthy thing to do, but
Right.
But I'll do it when I get into things. I
Yeah.
definitely binged The Bear season 2.
Yeah.
I liked his cousin Richie's character development. No, his character arc, I should say.
Yeah, that episode.
Oh man, Spoons. Yeah,
Yeah.
Spoons was. I was telling Tristan about it, and I think it's probably one of my favorite episodes that I've seen on television in any genre in a very long time.
Yeah.
Because you just see what it means to find passion. If
Yeah.
that makes sense, like he kind of just discovered like he had no sense of purpose.
Yeah.
And then was able to kind of just find something that he was passionate about. And
Yeah.
seeing that kind of unlock in just a 45-minute episode is pretty unreal.
Yeah.
Because they were able to really capture that moment,
Yeah. You know, I meet as you're talking about this, I look at people with are just very passionate about certain things.
Yep.
And it's like when you put them in the right spaces, they just shine.
Oh, absolutely.
And they just shine. And I love that because you see Richie and it's like, yeah, he's just so passionate about what he does,
Yep.
but he just wouldn't put in the right atmosphere.
Well, and
Or right training, I should say.
You're
Yeah.
absolutely right, because sometimes it's so easy to just kind of look over people that don't have direction, right? You're just kind of
Yeah.
like, you just dismiss them like, what is this guy doing, And,
Yeah.
And you don't realize that if you put them in the right direction, or if you gave them something to really concentrate their energy on that they really are passionate about,
Yeah.
and they just hit the ground running,
Yeah.
it's unreal. And I think that was a cool episode to be able to show that.
Yeah.
What'd you think about the Seven Fishes, the Thanksgiving episode?
Oh, that's probably the standout.
Oh,
That's
that was
probably the
hard to
standout.
watch.
Yeah.
Hard
And
to watch in the best way, but it was difficult
Yeah.
to get through.
And I think what made it really good was just the small nuances throughout the episode. I think it was a longer episode, right?
It was a longer one. Yeah.
But they utilized each moment to really build up. I mean, everything was
Yeah.
intentional.
Yes.
Everything was intentional.
Yeah.
It wasn't just like, hey guys, this is what we're going to do. This is the type of feel that we want.
Mm-hmm.
Let's do it. But every, scene and every camera movement, whatever it was, I could tell is intentional. And when I see that kind of production and direction, it's like, man, these guys are really good because they take into account the subtle, like the most subtle thing, and put it towards what their goal is.
It was anxiety inducing. You can kind of almost feel like almost what it would have, like almost like a panic attack, like on the verge of a panic attack. And that's the way that they kind of filmed the episode. And I definitely think, it could be triggering for some people if that may suffer from panic attacks. But you just watching, I was like, this is so intense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The writers are
Really good.
Yeah,
But, Jamie Lee Curtis, though, killed that episode as the mom.
yeah.
Jeez.
yeah.
Unreal. I'm already thinking like a lot of these guys are gonna get Emmy. I think they're gonna get nominated for their work in a lot of these shows. I always really like when you have film actors that have kind of gone to the small screen and just kind of find a home in that, because they're really just kind of bringing something different to television, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, when you watch too many mainstream stuff, it just gets kind of diluted. And
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So yeah, we tackled the best viewing.
Yes, sir.
2023. We're gonna go into listening. Anything they've listened to.
Man.
Best of.
Okay, for sure.
So why don't you start us off, brother?
Yeah, man. Are you a Post Malone fan?
I don't dive into his stuff, but I love the music that he's putting out.
Yeah. Absolutely. Austin came out this year. I think for me personally, I loved it. It was a very different sound.
Okay.
I think when Post Malone came into the music industry, it was marketed more in the hip hop R&B genre, and then I think since then he's kind of really expanded. What's nice is that, I feel like he as a musician just doesn't want to be boxed in. And he's very talented. Obviously he's got country roots. He can play a guitar. He's got some vocal range to him. So, although, I love a lot of the early stuff that was more R&B and hip hop. I kind of like some of this experimental things that he's been doing.
Gotcha.
I know that's not everybody's bag, but it's been a lot of fun. It reminds me kind of like late 90s music, early 2000s, if that makes sense. I know you're a fan of that era. Yeah, you should check out Austin. It was a good listen for sure.
I'll have to check it out on the way out.
What about you?
Before we go into one of mine, one of the things that I love about him, like I always see old videos of him, and he's just so passionate about singing. Like it's almost like he was the same person.
Okay, so what I really love about Post Malone is that he is a very, I don't know him, but he comes across as being a very genuine person.
Yes.
That's how he reads, right?
Yeah.
You see countless videos of people just mobbing him, just all these fans, and he's just gracious to everyone, right?
Yeah.
I know it's a lot easier said than done, but I've always thought to myself, like, if you were a celebrity and your number one job was to just show up and be a decent person, like how hard is it? And again, I can only imagine that level of pressure, but for some reason he maintains it very well.
He
always just seems very gracious. He just seems like he's having a good time. He's always got a beer in his hand. He's just fun. And man, it's funny too. Like, I know when he started getting tattoos on his face and everything, people are like, "Oh man, this is gonna ruin his career." And it didn't. People don't even see him any different. Like, I think now it's kind of funny where you just kind of like, "Oh yeah, it's Post Malone," And
right.
It didn't do anything negative to his career at all. And I think it's just because people can kind of see that, hey, this is a guy that's just really grateful for the opportunities he's had in life, and he's just enjoying himself. Putting out music that he likes and people are resonating with. So I'm definitely a huge fan.
That's awesome. Yeah. Post Malone, baby. Let's see. Listening. I've been listening to a lot of books lately. Audiobooks.
Yeah, man.
It's funny because when I seen the topics that we were talking about, I was like, shucks, I didn't really listen to a lot of music this year, which is weird. I'm just for no good reason. I don't know. Just dived into books this year.
One thing is because I'm such a visual, I consume a lot of movies and television. That's just who I am. When it comes to just like listening to music, I didn't realize that just the output is just so crazy. You cannot keep up. I mean, you think that there's a lot of movies out there, like music just comes out daily, and you're like, things can be months out and you haven't even heard it yet because it's just too much that's constantly out there. And we're also creatures of habit, right? So you kind of tend to listen to the things that you like, which is familiar, right?
The internet, man, it's just once the internet came out, just again a bunch of songs, a bunch of artists.
For sure.
I'm thinking now, like, shoot, it's probably super difficult to break out as an artist these days.
I think so.
Because everything's just open competition, right?
Yeah. But going back to the audiobooks, I think it's great for authors that they have. I mean, it's not new, but I feel like because of just how popular podcasts have become, audiobooks is kind of a wave that people are now really discovering as well.
I think so. Yeah, I think so. I mean, you got your diehard book readers who enjoy having that physical copy, and there's some what do you call there's some cool aspects to that
for sure.
But for me, one of the books audiobooks that I've been listening to is The Wager.
Okay.
The
Tell me about it.
Wager. It is a story about ships.
Okay.
Ships and shipwrecks and just their voyage.
Okay.
This author is David Grann, who was also the writer, which I just found out today, of Killers of the Flower Moon.
No way.
Yeah.
Dope.
And so the reason why I picked up this book was, one, I wanted to get into fiction. There's a basis for this, but it's not entirely true.
Okay.
But The Wager is a ship that this guy, David, the writer, just talks about from the beginning of the voyage, and talks about like the ins and outs and the relationships of the people.
Oh, okay.
And all of their like actions and all of these things. I haven't gone too deep into it yet, but it's just a good book, and I've read the reviews. And the reason that I picked it up was because people were saying like just how good of a communicator David Grann was or is. And how he writes and tells stories. And in my mind, I wanted to start reading or listening to more fiction because I've never really dived into that. And I think there's some things to learn about it. One of the things mainly was to learn more words and see how people communicate. But it's just been really entertaining. It's just sometimes it gets overshadowed with other things that I would listen to.
Well, it's cool. I mean, I love audiobooks in the car. You know, I love, you know, like if you're on a plane and you just kind of captive for, you know, for a few hours at a time. It's cool because are you a reader? Are you an avid reader?
No.
Myself included. I'm not.
Yeah,
Were you when you were younger by chance?
No, but I tell you, one book that I've enjoyed was Chamber of Secrets by Harry Potter.
There you go. There you go.
That was the only book that really captivated me.
Yeah.
But after that, I don't know. There wasn't really it just didn't really stand out to me.
For sure. I think growing up, mainly because I think my parents forced reading onto us. But I used to read quite a bit.
Really?
I used to read quite a bit. And I think for whatever reason, just kind of lost the joy in it, which sounds really devastating. But I think I just, you know, again, for better or worse, you know, just fell in love with television and movies. But having you say this, you know, actually, coincidentally, I've kind of gotten more into audiobooks as of late. So some really good ones that I've heard lately. Bobby Hundreds, he wrote a book.
Did he?
Yeah.
Wow.
There's not a t-shirt. And it's kind of just chronicles the history behind the hundreds, which is really awesome. But that was a really good one. Kitchen Confidential, nice. Anthony Bourdain, another phenomenal one. That's my guy. One of my idols, definitely. You know, and it kind of just talks about, you know, his experiences in the kitchen and, you know, what got him to the point where he was at in life. But just really, really cool. And also what's awesome with both of those books, the authors are actually narrating the stories too.
I love that. Yeah. I like that. I like that a lot.
So you can kind of hear it in their voice, and, you know, the way they enunciate things, the way that, you know, they bring words to life. You can it really means a lot more when the author's reading it.
Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah. So that was one thing I'm listening to. What you got for?
Yeah, man. Let's see here. You a Nas fan by chance?
What's that?
Nas? Are you a Nas fan?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yes.
Okay, gotcha. Well, Magic, he did 2 albums this year, Magic 2 and 3. Nas is kind of on a run, man. You know, considering how long he's been out, it's pretty phenomenal that he continues to put out, you know, impactful music. You know, he's in his 50s. I want to say he's early 50s. But he's out rapping guys half his age, you know, and a lot of it is just the production. You know, he linked up with Hit Boy, and you know, it's pretty amazing what they've been putting out as of late. They did the King's Disease as well as the Magic series, and I think this might be wrapping it up. But it was a good year for rap. I don't know if you know Killer Mike, Run the Jewels, Killer Mike, Dungeon Family. He also had a really, really good rap album called Michael. So kind of interesting, man. You know, when it comes to just rap music, I tend to just listen to what I listen to.
Sure.
You know, I'll be honest, I'm not a huge fan of a lot of the stuff that's come out lately. I don't know. You know, it's tough. You know, you kind of look at I'm really in love with the late 90s, early 2000s rap.
Yeah.
You know, that's what I think about when I think of the genre. And as of late, just not a huge fan. You know, of course, I'm a fan of Drake, but Drake's more than rap at this point, if that makes sense. You know, I
Yeah.
don't think there's really a genre that can kind of define him.
Right.
You know, I like what Kanye puts out when he puts things out, but
Mm-hmm.
even that, I don't really consider him rap anymore.
Yeah.
It's kind of just a different vibe entirely. So when you talk about just rap, you know, like it's pretty amazing when you guys like Nas that are still putting it out at the highest level.
Yeah. When you mentioned Killer Mike's or Mike the album,
Mm-hmm,
that one track with Andre, yeah, that was probably my favorite track on that.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean,
Three
every time
Stacks.
there's what's that?
Three
Yeah,
Stacks,
Three Stacks.
man.
Every time there's a feature from him, I'm like, yeah, gotta hop on that.
Except
And-
what did you think about? What did you think about his album? Speaking of
I didn't
2023,
think about it.
did you listen to it?
Did
You tried, right?
I tried. When
I
it
was-
dropped, I was there, bro.
I was like maybe he's just trolling us. I was waiting for the verse, and I'm like, no, he's not.
That's what I was, bro. I just like skipped to the see if there was some rap in there.
It's interesting, right? You know, but and I'm a huge fan of Three Stacks. Not a fan of this project, but with that said, I think it's really amazing when people get to a level that they're just like, you know what, I just want to do what I want to do.
Yeah,
Not hurting nobody, you know. I mean, obviously the guy doesn't need money at this point. He's had his success independently and with Outkast, and he's probably one of the most sought after rappers. You know, nobody can get a Three Stacks verse, so if you can get him on a track, you've done something right.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah.
So for him to put out a flute project is pretty hilarious and outlandish.
Who knows, man? There might be something this year.
I don't know, man.
But,
you know, I can see that being played like at a spa or something, but not,
That's what I said.
not in my car.
That's what I said. But Nas, going back to Nas,
Yeah.
Nas is probably top 3 for me.
Yeah.
Just the way his verses and how he compiles them into, it's just, I don't know, man. He's up there
For sure.
There's
Absolutely.
him, Tree Stacks, and probably Ye.
Yeah.
But Nas, man, his Magic was awesome. Again, yeah, well, that's really profound what you said, because now people are. It's more like they're producing or doing production stuff versus
sure.
like rapping.
For sure.
And I don't know if because it doesn't make money anymore, as much as money anymore. I don't know what it is, but like we talk about, like Travis Scott's what's his new one?
Utopia.
Utopia.
Yeah.
That's a lot more production, I would say.
Absolutely.
but-
you know, it's you go for the spectacle when it comes to that, right? So that's actually a good one. When it first came out, I actually really, really enjoyed it, Utopia, and then I continually tried playing it through, and then I realized it didn't have as much playback value.
Gotcha. Yeah.
So you know, I think the original listen, I was like, oh, this is really dope. And then, you know, not to take away from the project itself, but it just didn't have as much replay as I thought it would.
Yeah. Good for the first time, but
Yeah, you know, one album that did have a lot of replay value for me. Do you like SZA by chance? She came out with SOS this year.
no.
Yeah.
Never. Not that I don't like her, I just don't listen to
Yeah. Okay, so SZA's another one where she's part of the TDE camp. You know, and obviously they know what they're doing over there.
Yeah.
This is kind of a long-awaited album. You know, it's been years since she had something.
Really?
And I think the sound that she came out with was really unique and dynamic. It was very different than her original album.
Okay.
You know, there's traces of that, but there's also some very different experimental sounds that she did. There was one song. The title's escaping me. It sounds like, honestly, like an Avril Lavigne track. Like it almost sounded like 90s TRL, you know, early 2000s, where it just sounded like a rock track, and it was awesome. And you know, just something very different and unexpected. And I think that was really cool. I liked projects that kind of surprised me this year.
Yeah. You know, I'm just thinking, sorry to go off on a tangent, guys, but at the end of Kendrick's tenure at TDE. Do you think that had an influence as to where they're going? They're shaping their music style.
Potentially. I know Kendrick left on good terms, but I
Yeah.
think he really just wanted to do his own thing. And if you
Yeah.
listen to this last album that he came out with, which actually came out this year as well, right?
Really?
Was it this year or last year?
You're talking about the dad one?
Well, yeah, his most recent album, was that this year?
I feel like it's last year. But
Okay,
anyway,
okay.
I'm just wondering if his style, because it started getting experimental.
Yeah,
You know what I
yeah.
mean? Like, I'm wondering if that had to do,
I think it just in general though, like if you look at music, the idea is you're trying to blend as many fandoms as you can, like they're trying to blend genres, and I think that's a good thing. We talked about movies, but good music's good music, right?
good music.
Yeah, absolutely. So I don't think that there should be, a box that we put these guys in. And I think they're kind of realizing that if they themselves are fans of different genres, they kind of
Yeah.
want to incorporate that into their own styles.
That sounds true. Yeah.
But yeah, SOS was phenomenal by SZA for sure.
I'm going to take a look at that.
Yeah,
SZA.
yeah. What else do you listen to?
One more I want to do with listening is Unreasonable Hospitality.
Oh, what's that?
And this is by Will Guidara,
Okay.
and who is a chef. I don't know if he was a chef, but he was in the restaurant business.
Okay.
And who eventually got to a 3-star, got
Nice.
to owning a 3-star restaurant.
Okay.
And this is just his almost like an autobiography with his tenure in the restaurant business.
Okay.
And I love this because, again, coming to the idea of knowing what small things change the person, or how,
For sure.
how their trajectory was. This is it, man. He goes from like how he was influenced in the restaurant business, and how he gets to a server, a manager, and a regional whatever, and then he gets to owning this, or just a lot of ins and outs with the restaurant business.
Okay.
I think anyone would enjoy this book, but especially people in the restaurant business, in the hospitality business.
Yeah.
It's pretty nuts, like how far they'll go just to not impress, but to really take care of a customer in a 3-star restaurant.
Ooh, sold.
Yeah,
I'm actually
it's
very
so
interested
good.
in this.
It's so good, bro. I
Okay.
recommend this one to everyone.
Absolutely.
Unreasonable Hospitality.
I like
Yeah.
it. I like it.
Yeah.
Awesome, man. Well, let's move on to some of our experiences from 2023. Did you have any experiences that kind of jumped off the page for you?
Just one.
Just one? Go ahead,
Just
man.
one.
Go ahead.
And this one was Ozo's birthday party.
Okay,
It
yeah.
was our first birthday party.
Awesome. What'd you guys do?
We rented out a space in Mililani,
Mm-hmm.
and man, it was just. I mean, it's our first birthday, right?
Right.
And our first child, and so a lot of it was just seeing everyone that are just been part of our lives, and seeing them come together and just be part of it was just super nice. And I think one of the things, I mean, going back to our the miscarriage, it's good to look back in terms of, not good, but we look back at that and we're just thankful and blessed that we were able to see, even her first birthday.
Sure.
We just don't take anything for granted these
Absolutely.
days. And we just enjoyed it, bro. It was a really good first birthday party. We had Black Sheep ice cream.
Nice.
We had our brother-in-law's friend who did sushi. He owns a sushi
Oh,
bar.
nice.
Just everything just like lined
That's
up really
awesome.
well. Yeah.
You did
yeah.
Black Sheep for your wedding too.
We did. Yeah.
Ah,
And
good
it's funny
stuff.
because it was the same guy.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
I think it's the husband. Shoot, I forgot your name, bro. But it's the husband of the owner.
Gotcha.
Yeah. But they're just super good people. I always tell people, Black Sheep, man, if you're gonna do a catering thing for
Yep.
dessert,
Yep.
ice cream. Black
Dope.
Sheep.
Dope.
Yeah.
I like it. Do you guys plan on doing another birthday, like a grand one? Is
It's funny because some people like to do it every year.
Yeah.
I told Josh, 5 when she gets 5.
I think the first. Okay, so let's be honest here. The first birthday, I think, if you look at just the significance of it. Obviously, for the parents, it's getting through the first year of parenting.
Yeah.
And then for the baby, you think about like, okay, for posterity, everybody's taking pictures, recording everything. When they get older, we're like, hey, this was your first birthday.
Yeah.
I don't think it does matter for like the third or fourth
No,
birthday.
no, bro.
You're like, they're not gonna remember, right? I think by
Yeah,
the time
yeah.
they hit around age, I don't know, maybe 5 or so, then they're gonna be like, oh, at that point maybe they're starting to make friends.
Yeah.
They're gonna be talking a lot more. They're
Yeah,
gonna
yeah.
want things, and then I think maybe then you can kind of plug into it. But I think
Oh,
the ages
100%.
between 2, 3, and 4, I think you're good, bro.
No, bro, we're going to Zippies or something. This goes for the same for you punks out there who celebrate 6-month
my goodness.
relationships. Yo, when I was in high school, people
Yeah.
be putting out like,
Yeah.
happy 3 months, happy 4 months. I was like, shut up. What are you doing? Is it really that much of an accomplishment that you guys been together for 6 months?
For some,
Sorry, man, I'm getting little.
No. Ray.
1 year, I get it.
Yeah.
1 year, 6 month, 3 month, bro.
Yeah. I
Just
got
leave,
you.
man.
Ray's first girlfriend broke up within the
3
5-month
months.
mark. He's like, I'm still salty about that.
Still salty. Where were we?
Experiences.
Experiences, bro.
Yeah. Okay, so for me, best experience of the year, bar none, was we went on a Disney cruise to Alaska. I will say this: Disney is not for everyone, but I thoroughly enjoyed myself. Thoroughly. I think about just when I think about the pinnacle of customer service. Disney kind of exceeded that, if that makes sense.
Whoa,
Yeah,
yeah.
I had heard prior to it, we did a lot of research on like, okay, what is this going to entail? I've never been on a cruise liner, let alone a Disney one. How fun is this going to be? Given, we're going with my entire family, and then I have my niece and nephew who are young, so this was mainly for them. However, you got me and my wife who are tagging along as adults here, and we weren't sure how much fun we'd have. Tristan and I had the time of our life. It was amazing, man. I highly recommend. The cruise itself, it was doable. I've again never been on a boat, so I wasn't really certain how that would feel. I was a little worried that we get seasick or something.
Did you?
No, actually no. It's such a large boat that
I was gonna
think
say it's probably too massive.
exactly.
Huh?
I think by that night, the first night that we were on there, you kind of just realize that there's going to be some motion, but you just turns into white noise, believe it or not.
Yeah.
But everything's just so well coordinated. Given we're still, COVID is still definitely a thing. When COVID first popped off back in 2020, I know a lot of the cruise liners were hit hard.
Oh.
Yeah, because you basically got people that are just kind of encapsulated on this boat, and it kind of spreads like wildfire. So
Yeah.
we were a little bit worried about that. But yeah, the level of just sanitization was amazing. But just the way that they coordinate everything, even though the boat was full, it never felt crowded, if that makes sense. And
Yeah.
a lot of it has to do with them, just with scheduling and programming. It was pretty amazing how they were able to coordinate that, where you never felt like this is overcrowded.
Wow. You got their planning right.
Yeah, they're planning.
One of the things that stood out while you're explaining this,
Yeah.
you said the level of sanitation.
Yeah, hey, man.
Talk about it, bro.
No,
Talk
for sure.
about it.
It's constant cleaning. And what I really appreciated was, the boat was very clean. But
Yeah.
the teams that they had in place to make sure that everything stayed clean were just top notch. And I think
Sheesh.
what I really, really enjoyed the most was just the level of acknowledgement. You're paying good money, obviously, to be on this cruise, but there's just this genuine appreciation that people have of I guess your business, but at the same time, like, they just hire very nice people, period. You know what I mean? Like, so going on the boat, you just acknowledged by everybody, like, there's
Wow.
always a good morning, are you having fun, how's your day going? And it's just a really, really good feeling. It's just a really small thing that a lot of people don't realize. Just when you're acknowledged and you just kind of feel seen and heard, like, it just puts you in a good mood, and then you kind of pay that forward, if that makes sense. It puts you in a good mood. You're that much more friendly to everybody else as well. And I think they
Yeah.
do a really good job with that on that cruise.
Wow.
Have you ever been to Alaska?
No, Alaska. We wanted to go. We've heard good things during the summer.
Absolutely.
But yeah.
You know, I think if you really wanted to tour Alaska, a cruise might not be the best way to do it. Because
not the best
Not
way.
the best way because you're just hitting ports, right? So
Gotcha,
you know, we
gotcha.
stopped in 3 different cities and given it's a lot of fun. It's, you know, a really small time frame that you're gonna be there.
Yeah.
And a lot of it is just very tourist based. You know, you land there, every shop's selling the same keychain and same t-shirt with wolves on it. But you know, you gotta get the carved bear, the wooden bear, and all that good stuff. Get your smoked salmon.
Yeah.
But you know, aside from that, I think, you know, you have some opportunities to do some tours and do some exploring. But I really feel like if you knew anybody there, that would probably be the best way to tour because the land, it's just so vast.
Yeah.
We flew into Canada, got on a boat out of Vancouver, and we went down the coastline. And I'm telling you, like, for an entire day, you just see land.
Yeah.
Like, it's just, that's how vast this landmass is. And it's incredible, you know. I don't know. I'm a huge fan of going to cities, but something about rural America,
Yeah.
just kind of where it's untouched, it's so beautiful, man. It's so amazing. But
it seems like an escape from, you know, the hustle and bustle of
Definitely,
cities, you know?
definitely.
We have a friend up there right now who owns a house there, and they have a farm. And like you said, there's all this space.
Yep.
They have like goats and they have chickens and all that
Dope.
stuff. Yeah.
you should go visit if you get an opportunity.
They
for
told
real.
us, yeah, they always say like it's beautiful. You
It
guys
is.
gotta come. Yeah.
The only adjustment is it's weird. When we went, the sun didn't go down until about 10 o'clock at night. I'm like, what is happening, man?
Yeah, messes with your time
to
frame.
go to bed, and it's still sun out right now.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
that was probably the biggest adjustment. But all in all, man, can't say enough about the Disney cruise. Had a really great time.
Yeah.
Awesome. Best experience for us 2023.
Sounds good. I don't want to move forward unless you have another experience. But if not,
Yeah, man. Well, you know, let's shout out the podcast. You know, hey, this was a 2023 experiment, I should say,
Wow,
right?
Yeah, it feels
Yeah.
like I didn't realize it was just last year. Yeah.
Yeah, man. You know, we talked about it at length, so I don't have to go too in depth with it. But Ray and I are just, you know, I just appreciate people listening to this. You
Yes.
know, I appreciate, you know, Ray really just kind of seeing that this could be something interesting of value, and I hope to continue this. You know, and you know, one thing that we really want to dive into this coming year is really just exploring some different topics. So, you know,
Yeah.
anybody listening, please hit us up if you want to hear us talk about anything, any questions you have, any topics that you think might be scathing. We're always definitely interested in reviewing stuff. But so far, this has also been really an amazing experience for me.
Yeah. Same. I mean, I love the production stuff. And so, I think one of the goals was just, I think we talked about this, but
Yeah.
we just have conversations, and
Yeah.
it would have been nice to put on. And this is where we're at right now.
For sure. Absolutely. Absolutely.
So we're going to move on
Yeah,
to...
let's move on, man.
Yeah, let's move on to purchases.
For sure.
Purchases. I'll start mine off with prefacing this, but with saying that I love equipment.
Okay.
Camera equipment. It's always fun. Just with like, I don't know, stands, tripods,
Mm-hmm.
cameras, lenses. And one of the top ones for 2023 was just 85 millimeter lens. And
Okay.
so, you know, with cameras, there's different focal lengths. 85 was one I didn't have for this particular system, and yeah, I could nerd out on this focal length, but 85 just really good equipment for like compression and really highlighting something. And so this portraits,
Okay.
yeah, it's really good for that. But I just didn't have this focal length yet, so had to pick them up. That was
Okay.
one of the purchases for 2023.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What about let's see. So what camera do you pair that with though?
990 uses Panasonic cameras.
Okay.
But yeah, every system has their own mount, and it's kind of tough because if you don't have every system, you'll have to buy like the mount for it.
Okay.
There's some converters, but normally in the camera world, you want to use the same proprietary
Got
lens.
it.
But yeah, some nerdy purchases there.
Hey, I love
what
it,
you
man.
got, bro?
I love it. This year I got back into my born and raised bag, man. Honestly, I talked about it in one of the earlier episodes, just my love for this company and brand. And yeah, this year the co-founder tragically passed away, Spanto. And yeah, it's interesting. It was one of those things where I don't want to say I was like the first, but I was very early on that train as far as really kind of latching onto the brand. I remember when they were just doing t-shirts, and I think I got their first run, and kept most of those original runs. And it got to the point where once they started getting really big, I got kind of snobby. It was just like,
I get it.
you ever do that where you're just like, oh man, now everybody likes it, and
Bro, this is the reason why I don't listen to a bunch of emo bands anymore.
For
they
sure,
get big.
for sure. I know, and it's so stupid. It's such an egotistical thing to
It
think like,
is.
oh, I discovered this. No, you didn't. No, you didn't. Like I didn't. I'm definitely not the first person to be a fan of what they were putting out and the message that they had. But I just remember it getting so huge at one point. I was like, I don't know. Once I started seeing a lot of people in Hawaii wearing it, I was kind of like off of it already. Because
Really?
I think originally like I didn't see it much out in circulation. I felt kind of proud when people asked like, oh, what is that?
Yeah.
But yeah, and then I don't know. I think after his passing, I kind of really got back into as far as like, you know what? I've always loved this brand, and I love that they're continuing the legacy right now.
Yeah.
I think the way that that they haven't faltered since his passing has really kind of been a testament to his legacy and what they want to accomplish with the brand. So they got my dollar, they got my support. I've been collecting a lot more lately. So yeah, Tristan, unfortunately, he's been getting more packages in the mail. I talked about my dunks, but yeah, I've been getting a lot of shirts back in lately. And so we'll see what they put out. Lately, they've been putting out some heat. So continue to buy.
Any color other than black?
Oh man. Yeah, dude.
Really?
No, actually, no.
I was gonna say, I was like,
Yeah, that's so funny that you bring that up. If you ever look in my closet, I think I got maybe like half a dozen shirts that are not black. And people wonder what my fascination with the color black is, and I can't tell you. I think it's universal. I think it matches with everything.
Yeah.
And I just for me, I've just never really been a color guy.
Yeah.
Well, I don't wear white because I'll probably put ketchup stains all over that thing.
Yeah, that's the difficulty with that one, yeah.
But other colors, I'll buy it, and I'll try to experiment. And for whatever reason in my head, I'm like, it just doesn't look right. I just like the color black. But it's funny because man, all my shirts are black.
Yeah. I think, well, for me, I don't want to speak for anyone else, but for me, with black, it's easy. Like you said, it's easy to pair with things. But the other things that we're talking about are the ones that we can change up the color, at least in my head.
No, for sure. Absolutely.
Yeah.
You can match your shoes, your accessories and whatever. But yeah, it's just kind of a staple universal thing for me. Absolutely.
Yep. Another purchase for me was the 990 V6s.
Hey, talk about that, man.
Yeah. You know
Wait,
what?
wait.
Oh, wait a minute.
I know you weren't the biggest fan initially. How do you like them now?
It's funny because now I'm thinking, it wasn't that good of a purchase.
This guy, anything for clicks.
990 V6s. I still have them.
Okay.
Probably
you got the original colorway.
Yeah, I got to. Yeah,
Okay.
I got to. But yeah, man, these ones just and I seen it across the board where it's the sizing is just off.
Yeah.
These are your first
It's my first
versions of V6s. Yeah?
I only have V6s, so I
Yeah.
have multiple pairs. I think I got 4 pairs of V6s.
Gotcha.
What's your favorite silhouette out of?
I have the V3s, which I believe is V3s, which I just love.
Yeah.
When I first got it, the quality is just different. Something's different about it. It feels heavy. It feels lighter.
Yes.
And it doesn't protrude more. Like the material doesn't protrude as much as it should. So it looks very 2-dimensional.
Okay.
And that for me, knowing that this other 990 that I have isn't like that, I think that's where my perception comes from.
I get it.
With that said, I think it's a cool entry to the modern look.
Yes.
While keeping the very timeless 990.
Yeah.
990 value, I guess, or whatever you want to call it. But yeah, I think they did a really good job with the design.
Yeah.
It's just if they had that same type of material, I think it would really probably one of the top ones in the 990 line.
It's interesting because New Balance essentially is, they make running shoes, right?
Yes.
So if you think about when the 990 first came out, it was a running shoe, and it has continued to be. It's funny that it's gone more into fashion. So you look at like function over fashion, and I feel like with the V6s, they're trying to kind of capture both, where you look at like the fuel cell technology in the midsole. So you have that cush, that really, really cushy midsole that some people are very, very, very big fans of. Other people not so much.
Yeah.
But it's much more of a narrower shoe, and it's longer than the previous version. So
yes.
It doesn't always work, especially, I mean, again, if you're wearing it for fashion, it doesn't always work with every pants, if I should say.
Yeah, this particular one, it's a bit more aggressive.
It is.
It's a bit more aggressive.
It looks more like a runner, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Which still looks nice. It just...
It's not really the dad shoe vibe that they're known for.
It's not.
I think that's kind of what, like, I think all the previous versions, you kind of had that one aesthetic where it was a little bit more chunky.
Yes.
And it was more dad shoe look.
Yeah. And so that's why I mentioned it's a good mix, but probably not the best adaptation of what they could encapsulate, but I think it's still there. It's still there
for sure, man. Absolutely.
What else you got in your pickups?
Yeah, man. I mean, well, okay, not really a pickup, but I think one of the best purchases that I had this year was my backyard, dude.
Oh
yeah, man. I've kind of talked about it briefly before, but this yard has been a work in progress. When we first bought the house, the original owner had a pond, a really big pond in the back. They had a pagoda and everything, dude. It was pretty. I wish I could have seen it back in the heyday, because it must have been something. But then it was purchased by someone else, and I guess the upkeep was too much, so they filled the pond up and then basically just graveled the entire perimeter of the house. So if you've seen the front, that was all gravel. It was gravel all around the house. So luckily when we got it, the front and side was grass was already put in, but the back had been untouched, and it's a fairly large area back there, but it was just, it turned into a lizard sanctuary, man. Honestly, like, I kind of joke around about that, but it was crazy. Lizards were running wild. It was Jurassic Park back there. But we just kind of saw this as an opportunity, with the dogs, of like, hey, wouldn't it be awesome if we just had this area for them to be able to run around in? Unmonitored. So we wanted to, the idea was to put a fence up around, a nice fence. We could just have them out there and let them do their thing and not have to worry about them. So that was the task. And honestly, I think Tristan just thought it was never gonna happen. I was like, oh, I'm gonna show her. I got my project manager bag.
Let's go.
Went into the Rolodex and kind of just used some resources. Found some people that were gonna be able to do it, and kind of started coordinating. And yeah, man. I mean, within a month turnaround time, we went from rock to grass, and now I got a full functioning backyard back there. And
within a month,
that's
not normal, you guys. If you ever tried to put together a project like this, it's probably gonna take like 3-4 months.
And shout out to apps, dude. It's crazy. Like there are just some apps. I didn't use TaskRabbit for this one, but there were a couple of different apps on there where I was able to find contractors.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm not gonna shout these apps out. I'm tired of doing this, man. But anyway, these unnamed apps, I was able to find a couple of contractors that were able to do things at a very decent price, and it was awesome. Again, very, very happy with the end result, and we'll get out there and shoot sometime.
Yeah.
For sure.
It's super nice, guy. If you've ever been to Jail's house, backyard, it's solid. It's solid. Let's move over to Discoveries.
Yeah, man. Let's do it.
Discoveries. I got one, and the biggest one for me is, the top one I would say is the biggest motivation for myself is Zozo.
Yeah.
It's always like coming back to Zozo.
No,
but
understandable.
this is one of the discoveries that I've found, because now like the motivation behind doing things is different. There's a lot more to consider, I guess, versus where it was just myself. You know, it wasn't as I don't know. I think for myself, Cheo, it's innately I just care for people more, I guess.
Okay.
Not in a grand, like not at the very end of the, you know, the last call, but so for me having Zozo, it's like now it's not just anyone, but it's
Yes.
someone else that's my, you know what I mean?
Yep.
So it's a lot more motivating in a sense.
Yeah.
Where it's like I want to accomplish these things and show her that, you know, dad took care of me, or dad did good things, and yeah, man, it's just that's the biggest motivator. That's what I've learned or discovered in 2023. Yeah.
Can I ask you a personal question? Has becoming a father, I mean, this is kind of a loaded question, but I guess when you thought about becoming a father versus actually being a father, like, has this met and exceeded your expectations of what the feeling that you would have, or did you always think that this is how it was going to be?
Well, it's hard because I haven't imagined myself as a dad.
Yeah.
But I did know I was going to be a dad at some point.
Yeah.
I just didn't know what it would feel like.
Okay.
The one thing that really opened up on how fulfilling this was, or that was a big eye opener, was, I think I mentioned it before, but to know that there's, for myself to love this little thing, and knowing that I would do pretty much anything for this little thing, right? It just opened up the idea, or the vastness of how much someone can love something.
Yes. Yeah.
And then I thought about God and how He has that love for me, and it's like I have a glimpse of of the love that you have for me, just a glimpse, because now I'm in this role, in this position of loving this thing, and I'm like, there's absolutely nothing I wouldn't do for this thing, and that just like opened up the idea of how big love can get.
Yeah.
Or how deep you can go as to loving something.
Yeah.
But that was like the biggest learn.
good.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah. So for
Thank
me,
you.
that was the best discovery.
Yeah.
Our biggest discovery. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. What about you, Ro?
Yeah, man. Let's stick to the love thing here. Yeah.
let's go.
Yeah, you know, okay, so Tristan and I were gonna celebrate our second year of marriage coming up. And it's crazy, man. You know, when I think about when we got engaged and then when we got married, in my head, I just thought like, this is the pinnacle. This is like the most that I could love someone, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And then over this past year, it's just phenomenal, because we've had ups and downs. Never anything so tumultuous that I was ever worried about a relationship. But you know, every relationship has its ups and downs. But for whatever reason, something happened just where we just somehow kind of saw each other this year, where we were able to kind of really understand what it meant to be each other's partner, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I think we were still figuring that out even when we got married, and then for whatever reason, some point in this year, it just kind of clicked. And I don't know, man, like it's been good. It's been very good. Like our relationship it's at its best right now. I think the way that we've been communicating, the way that, you know, we have learned to just really appreciate each other, and, you know, really just kind of be mindful and thoughtful of each other. It's better than it's ever been. And, you know, I'm hoping to continue this. You know, I would hate to think that like this was as good as it gets, you know. Like you kind of just want to hopefully continually have that climb. And I think this year was a good year for us to really kind of be able to just really appreciate what we have in this relationship. Sorry, so sappy, but you know, honestly, you know, it was a good year for us.
That's an amazing discovery.
Yeah, it was, man.
Yeah.
It was. With that said, too, you know, another discovery that I had was just within me personally. Like, you know, I've been fighting, getting old I'd say for quite some time now. And I think this year was one of those years where I just kind of embraced it. I'm like, hey man, I am what I am. I'm going to be 45 this year. It's always fun when you can kind of surprise people and be like, well, I didn't know you're that old. But at the same time, like there shouldn't be any shame in the age that you are, that age comes with a lot of life experience,
For sure.
I feel like this year was one of the years where I kind of really looked at things and put it into perspective and just thought to myself, like, I've had a really good life so far. I hope I have a lot of time left in this world, but I'm very thankful for the time that I've had so far. And I hope to make more of it. So getting old's been fun, dude. I like saying no now. When people are like, hey man, you want to do this? I'm like, nah, man,
I'm good. I love my couch.
Yeah, man. No, sorry guys, I gotta cut grass. I gotta go cut the grass today. Whatever it is, right?
It's Thursday.
Yeah, exactly. Like, what do you mean? I'm like, and it's not that I wanna, disassociate from anybody or anything like that. But
sure.
I'm kind of learning peace, as far as just really enjoying time with myself. And just having some quiet time to just reflect. I think that's been good. I've been listening to a lot of podcasts. I watch a lot of TV. I don't know if this is what it means to get old, quote unquote. I mean, wearing glasses, obviously, that's new. But this is a year that I was really able to appreciate that, and I'm wondering what more is to come from that this year for sure.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Real quick, I want to get back to, a relationship with Tris.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, like, you know what? When she hopped on this job, and there's distance now.
Yep.
And there's got to be some coordination and planning.
Yes. Yep.
And I feel like, I wonder if that's something that was the opportunity for the relationship too.
Maybe, this is kind of funny. I think when during the pandemic, when she was working from home, we spent so much time together, and I think it was good. But at the same time, it didn't really allow us the chance to kind of miss each other or, really have that moment of regrouping. I think what's been nice is now that we're both leaving the house for hours in the day, when we are able to see each other again, even if it's just for 30 minutes, even if it's just for an hour, it's really time that's intentional as far as like, okay, like what happened today? Talk to me about your day.
Yes.
And there's genuine curiosity and surprise there, right? When you're like with somebody all the time, you're like, all right, cool. What's different, right? So you're absolutely right. I think this job and having her out of the house has really given us a chance to provide that space for each other when we do link up, Yeah, it's been interesting.
Yeah, I was just thinking because, man, I can't imagine people working together like...
Oh, bro.
Shoot.
Yeah. No, thank you.
Yeah. But I was just wondering in my mind. But we got a little bit of time left.
Yeah.
And then we just... let's go through the next ones and try to knock this out. But best advice. I'll start it off with this, Joe. The best advice I could give to anyone right now is to reposition yourself for the purpose of viewing. And so, real quick, it's just the idea is to move somewhere else to see other information or other things.
Interesting.
So you can see and understand why this is that and why this happens or whatnot. And so, let's just say for a camera, if there's one view here and, they might not look good or something, try moving it a little higher. And then you'll see that there's the beauty there.
Yeah.
Or, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so with any problem for myself, I just try to pivot and try to move and see it from a different perspective.
Interesting.
That's all it is.
No, okay. I want to give you a shout out here. So Ray and I, obviously doing the podcast, there's been a lot of communication, and I think Ray understands. For me, I like to be direct, and I think that even though I'm a very even-tempered person, there are times where direct communication can be misinterpreted. But I feel like you do a really good job navigating that. Like, I feel like sometimes, like, if I'm like, hey, we got to get this done, or like, yada, 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 or like, can we not do this? I feel like you're able to kind of step outside from that and really look like, okay, like, what does he mean by that? And then kind of just, and your responses are very nuanced in that way. And I wanted to give you that shout out because I feel like, you are able to kind of step aside and be like, okay, well, like, what do you mean by this? And, kind of really, and then I think in that sense, our communication is really good because you are able to kind of see what I'm saying.
I appreciate that,
Yeah,
bro.
yeah,
Yeah,
for sure.
And thank you so much. I do implement that in our in myself and Josh's
Yeah,
marriage.
absolutely.
And so it's not really getting into not really taking in whatever's being thrown at me, but it's really like, okay, why did she respond that way?
Yeah.
And not to get upset at that. And otherwise, but rather ask a different question, like,
Okay.
hey, how come you respond this way? Or, was there a reason why?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So really that's what I mean by repositioning.
I like it, man. That's a good one. That's a good one. Yeah.
What you got for me, brother?
Yeah, man, just devote time to those that deserve it. Really simple.
Wow.
Really simple. I have spent so much of my life trying to please others that really might not have deserved that amount of energy and attention. Whether it's strangers, whether it's people that may not have done the same for me. And then I think now I'm really able to kind of use the perspective of like, hey, this person would do anything for me. Why am I not devoting that much time and attention to this person?
Oh yeah.
And really kind of having that filter on things, it really sometimes it can be a little bit limiting and a little bit jarring, in fact, where you're like, wow, I don't have as many people that I can depend on as I thought. But even if my circle is small, I want to make sure that circle gets all my attention.
Yeah.
I don't really care too much about what's happening outside of that now,
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's kind of something that I've been trying to implement, and it's worked for me. I feel like the relationships that I have gotten much stronger because of that. Yeah,
That's super good advice, bro.
Yeah.
I think we're similar in the sense where, people pleasing is a thing.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's not for any other reason but to just help them.
Yep. Yep.
But again, I resonate with that because sometimes it's just like, why did you just waste time? They're not even grateful.
Yeah, man.
Just straight up.
No, I hear you. And I'm not trying to walk around with a chip on my shoulder or anything like that. But
Sure,
you just think about, we have only 24 hours in a day, right? Why am I giving so much time to people that aren't gonna give me that same amount of energy back? Yeah.
That's a great question to ask. I mean, see it in that perspective.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, time is of the essence.
You got any others?
Not for best advice, but that was just the main one.
Absolutely. Well, I know we don't do resolutions per se, but like if you were to think about 2024 going into this year, like do you have any personal, professional goals that you're looking forward to?
Yeah, and again, like the resolution things, I've always seen it as, attached with the idea of January 1st, this is the day I'm going to start. And I think that's why I just kind of move away from resolutions.
Right.
But if it was a personal goal of mine, it would be a couple things, but one is to be consistent.
Okay.
Just with business and
Absolutely.
with personal things. I think that's just fighting habit, right? Being consistent. That's one of the things I'm trying to get better at. It comes back to this one quote that I think of. It's a goal without a plan is just a wish.
Oh, okay. I like that.
Yeah. So it's just like, now I got to make sure I plan things out and be accountable for myself.
Okay.
And those are mostly the things, but one concept that I would like to, or just been starting implementing was building my dream. And so that meaning, there's a dream, but you can build on it.
Yep.
And the way that was phrased, or when I heard that, was like, that's crazy, because it forces you to think in a way where it's like you have to build it versus it being in the clouds and being like, oh, that's my dream, one day I'll do it or whatever. But then to build it, it's giving me an actionable step where it's like, you have to do it to reach it, if that makes sense.
That does make sense.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
and so that phrase, building my dream versus having a dream, was kind of like a shift in my perspective, and so that really helped.
No, that's good.
So
I like that.
That's my resolution for this year, bro.
Oh, that's good ones. Very good, man. Yeah, for me, we already hit on it. Don't wait to start something. I think that's important. For myself, I want to create a morning and night routine.
Yeah.
And a lot goes back to the consistency thing that you were discussing. But I think a lot of times when you think about how you're gonna attack the day, you want to move with intention, but at the same time, how consistent are you with it? I think the only thing that I'm consistent with every morning is brushing my teeth and drinking coffee. You know what I mean? But I've had back issues for a long time, so my morning routine that I've just begun to implement is stretching in the morning. So I get up, stretch, I do some jumping jacks, and then I do some push-ups, go wash my face, brush my teeth, and then start my day. And it's just kind of funny that just those few activities kind of really helps me wake up, but also it's more just trying to create a habit. You know what I mean? Like that little act of just doing some type of movement in the morning. It's just kind of helping me get in the mind frame that this is how I'm going to start my day.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's so easy for me to just jump on my phone or turn the TV on or
100%.
do whatever else. But if I can get up a little bit earlier, just do those things, it takes 10 minutes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's kind of what I'm trying to do. And I think the second part of that is if I can do that at night, and I haven't been very good about the night portion of it. I'm trying to repeat the same thing at night. But that's what I'm working on as far as just simple, tangible goals right now.
Yeah.
Did you have another one?
No, those are kind of like the main. I know I kind of compiled them into one. But in terms of habits, I've heard or read somewhere, I don't know if this is right, but it takes 6 to 8 weeks for a habit to be established.
I think,
something like that,
shorter
right?
than that. They were saying 30 days. That's why it's usually
30 days. Okay,
30 days, and then from there, consistency. That's kind of where you either see a drop off or not, and it becomes a habit after that 30 days, right? Because prior to that, most people will stop doing it. But we'll see how it goes. Another thing that I really wanted to try is this. They call it the 90% rule. And if you think about a grading scale of 100 being obviously the best, if we are truly surrounding ourselves with things that bring value to us, it should get a 90% grade or higher. And that's tough. That's tough, right? But I was thinking about it, and I was watching this video about this 90% rule. If you go in your closet and you see things that you would not buy if you didn't already own it, would you buy it again? And if the answer is no, get rid of it because you're not using it. You're not gonna use it. You know, so. It's interesting, right? Because 90% is a really high grade.
It is.
That's like, that's like 4.5 stars on Amazon,
Yeah.
But I mean, if you treat everything in your life of like, okay, is this 90% or higher? Like, no, okay, gotta go,
Yeah.
I mean, you don't want to cut out all your B- people in your life. There's room for the C pluses and B minuses, but I'm talking about more, not just material, but really like, if your goal is to kind of just surround yourself with things that bring really high value, they should be at least a 90% grade or higher. Yeah.
I totally resonate with that. I think we talked about it, and one of the goals that I had last year, or concepts that I implemented was, or tried to at least, was the quote and the idea of there's nothing that's going to be perfect.
Yes.
But excellence is the closest thing to it.
I like that.
90% is close to 100.
You got it.
And so it lines up with that quote that I think of in my head. But yeah, that's the really good advice, Roy. Yeah,
sure,
really good goals.
Sure. Yeah, man. Well, hey, I know this was kind of a longer episode, but we definitely wanted to recap our year, our favorite things from 2023. It was definitely a great year, personally. I know a lot of things were going on in the world, and I'm hoping for a better year, just all in all, for everyone. But yeah, 2024, man, a lot to look forward to.
Yes, yeah,
for sure. I did want to shout out my boy Alexander for making us these amazing stickers here.
Thank you, good sir.
Yes, friend of the show, good man. And yeah, if you want one, please hit us up. But yeah, our first merch, everybody.
Right on. Well, that's gonna close it up for us. Happy 2024, guys.
Yes, absolutely.
And again, we'll see you next time.
Definitely.
Shoots.
Peace.